What is good, internet? My name is JB. Welcome back to Pokemon Unite tier list. Today we're going to be going over the last patch a few days ago, which we have pulled up over here, the next step patch. That's the name of it. And we'll also be going over the release of Tinkaton. So yeah, it's actually a pretty big patch in terms of characters that got changed. But previously, this is our tier list. Before that, this is a side deck release tier list. So what we're going to do is go over every Pokemon that did not get changed, maybe make some changes, and then we'll go over everything in the patch. And then lastly, we'll do Tinkaton. So if you just want to skip the Tinkaton, you know, you can do that. If you want to just sit here and watch, you can do whatever the heck you want. But our tiers are actually broken tier, our top tier, our really solid / borderline OP tier, solid but not special, mid, and then we have our actually bad tier. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I just wanted to, you know, explain what the tiers were, so it's right out there in front, so no one really has to question what the tiers mean. So let's get things started with Pikachu. I think Pikachu is still incredibly good. I don't know if I would actually call Pikachu broken in this patch. It's incredible. Obviously, the stuns are great and super annoying, and CDI moves up all of the time. But I don't know if I would call Pikachu broken. It's definitely like top tier. So I'm gonna move it down to top tier for now. We can move it back up, but for now we're gonna just bump it a little bit because I do think it's one of the better attackers in the game, but I don't think it's like broken. I want to save actually broken things for stuff that needs nerfed immediately, like Mimikyu, which has gotten like at least, yeah, you can see this, at least all of these patches in a row without getting nerfed, like at all. Yeah, it's insane how they just refuse to nerf this character, and it's been one of the best characters in the game for how long? Yeah, a very long time. So yeah, Mimikyu definitely still broken. It needs to be nerfed in a big way. It's not like a super big problem in competitive Unite, but in solo queue on ladder, like a Mimikyu is just, it's one of the things you want to see least on the enemy team. It is a stupid character. And then it's Comfey. Like, do we need to talk about why Comfey's broken? I don't think so. Moving on to Alola Ninetales. I might be the only person in the world who sees Ninetales for what it is, but I think Ninetales is one of the most overpowered characters in the game. The passive buff it got a few patches ago is one of the still most ridiculous buffs I've ever seen in this game, because it's up literally every 2 to 3 seconds. I think it's a 2-second cooldown. It's either a 2-second or a 4-second cooldown. Whichever it is, it's entirely too short. Like, that is up all the time. It's an AoE stun that it literally does not have to do anything to get. Like, you just walk and you get an AoE stun every couple of seconds. Like, it's insanely overpowered. That coupled with the fact that it does ridiculous damage and ridiculous amounts of crowd control, CC, stuns. Like, Ninetales is broken. I really want to put it in actually broken tier. And you know what? It's my tier list. I'm putting Ninetales in actually broken. I think Ninetales is extremely overpowered. Are people going to agree with me? No, but I don't care. It's my tier list and Ninetales is overpowered. I'm doing what I want to do. Deal with it. Glaceon. I think Glaceon is probably more broken than A9, but I'm making a point. I'm making a statement with the Alola Ninetales. It's not actually broken, but in my mind, Ninetales is actually broken. Glaceon is just extremely overpowered and extremely annoying. All it does is, you know, just kill you from across the map without having a name. We've been here a million times. It's Glaceon. Miraidon. It's a character, it's like the opposite effect of Mimikyu. In solo queue, I'm not usually super worried about Miraidons, but it absolutely dominates the competitive scene. This character is extremely good, has just ridiculous damage on Electro Beam, and then Electro Drift is really solid, or Charge Beam. Electro Drift is really good, really annoying. It can be like one of the best Pokemon in the game, but I never see this character in my solo queue games, thankfully. So, and when I do, it usually doesn't do much. Every now and then you'll get rolled by it, but every now and then you get rolled by a, you know, a Gengar or something. But yeah, the Miraidon is fine. Zacian, yeah, still basically take everything I said about Miraidon and copy it. I don't see it a ton in my solo queue games, but when you do and you get ran over by a Zacian, it's still one of the most oppressive things in the game. A-Press is super strong on this character. Metal Claw is ridiculously good right now. It was never bad, it was just Sacred Sword was always better, but Sacred Sword's gone through a few nerfs in recent patches, and it's gone through just a few nerfs overall, but the character is still just insanely good. So things in top tier. Trevenant, it's Tree. Endless Sustain, good CC, good Unite move, it's Tree. Hoopa, presses A button real good, does good healing. Trick is insane. Yep. Eldegoss, presses A button real good, does the healing thing real good. Good Unite move. A button, press, good. Stays in top tier. I realize I need to move through these faster, so I'm gonna do that. Move on to really solid / borderline OP. Mewtwo Y, A button press. One of the best A button pressers in game. Stays there. Mew. Mew's always going to be an interesting one because Mew is an incredibly good character, but it's just going to depend on the player most of the time. I think it's one of those that could be solid but not special, but it also could be just like borderline OP in the right hand. So we'll just leave it there. Gary's a character I wouldn't be opposed to moving up the top tier. It's just there are a ton of really good all-arounders right now. I think Gary is just like, it's borderline OP. It's definitely towards the top of this tier, and we're ranking them within, like, we're not really ranking them within the tier. I don't think I need to explain that at this point, but yeah, I'm not comparing Gyarados to Mewtwo. Because Gyarados is probably better, but that's not what we're here to discuss. But yeah, Gary, it's definitely really good. You can talk me into moving up, but I'm gonna leave it here for now. Stereo. Swirl Edge is another character you could talk me into moving up, like you really could. Psycho Cut just became, I don't want to say insane because Bitterblade is still really good. The character is just good in general. Great A press, a ton of sustain, great mobility, has iframes, like busted Unite move. Swirl Edge is great, but is it the best all-rounder in the game? I actually don't know. It could be, very well could be. Zoro, it's very much like Mew, it's just gonna depend on the player. But most Zoroarks, I'd say, are pretty good these days, and the character is insane, but does have a high skill ceiling, skill cap. Same thing. Lapras, very solid character, has great sustain these days. The defender abilities to like freeze people or bubble beam them are very solid if slept on, but you know, it's fine. Blissey, I'm moving up to top tier. Character is dumb. Both builds are really good. I'm still personally more of a fan of eggs, but just because I want my support, so I don't know, heal me. But of course, you know, being able to be immune to CC is great, and then having buffs to your auto attacks also pretty solid. So yeah, and still one of the best Unite moves in the game. We'll see, you can move up. Solid but not special. Espeon we don't really need to say anything about. It's Espeon, Greninja, Cinder, and Dragon Ball all press 8 button pretty good, do pretty good damage, but they're better attackers. Armarouge did get a slight change to its Unite move, so it's like easier to aim now, but overall I think the character is still just pretty good. I do think it is significantly better than all the other attackers here, so we're gonna move Swirl Edge up to top tier. I think Swirl Edge is really good, really slept on still. I think Fire Spin is nuts. Armor Cannon is whatever. It still does decent damage, but I think Fire Spin alone warrants moving that guy up. Charizard, only Unite move, but Unite move is still good. I think solid but not special is a perfect representation of that character. Like, you can do good things with its Unite move, but every now and then you'll have a crazy game, but it's also, most games just, oh no, Charizard has his Unite move. That's the only thing it'll do. Doesn't have his Unite move, not scared of it. All right, Dragonite. Dragonite's fine. I love Hyper Beam, it's one of my favorite movesets to play in the entire game. Outrage is cool. They're better all-arounders. Azu, they're better all-arounders. Lucario, they're better all-arounders. Yeah, it's pretty much just like this tier. It's like these characters are all good, but like there are characters that are just better at that role. So yeah, AG, again, you know, yeah. Defender is Blastoise. Blastoise is a weird one. You could honestly talk me into moving Blastoise down. I don't really want to do that though because I like Blastoise too much. And it is really good. It's also just a character I don't really see a lot of. I think it still has 2 really good builds, so I think that's enough to leave it in solid but not special. Snorlax is a good character. It's one of those characters that's hard to get a ton of value out of in solo queue, as it always will be. So we'll put it in solid but not special. Ho-Oh, this character is unbelievably overrated. I am so sick of people saying Ho-Oh is good. It's better in competitive than it is in solo queue. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's kind of like the defender version of Charizard. I'm only scared of Ho-Oh Unite, and most of the time I'm not even scared of Ho-Oh Unite because they either don't use it or they'll use it on one person. Every now and then, like once in every like 15 to 20 games, you'll get a Ho-Oh who does actually hit a 4-man res, and it's like actually terrifying. But I don't know, man. Ho-Ohs don't move the needle for me. I think the character outside of its Unite move is unbelievably mid. Like Flamethrower's solid, it does good damage, but like if I want to do damage on a tank, I'm just gonna play Lapras or Trevenant. Like there's better damage tanks, there's definitely better tanks. It is more of a support in that sense, but like if I want to support, I'm playing Eldegoss or Hoopa, so like I don't know, it's fine, but it's a Unite move. Mamo, press the A button real good, really tanky, really solid. It's just Trevenant unfortunately exists, Umbreon unfortunately exists, so it's just a little bit outshine. And then Lapras, I just think does better damage, so yeah, Mammoth Swine is definitely really solid, but I don't think there's anything special about it. Greedent. I think I was a little bit too high on Greedent, but I do think Greedent has like firmly escaped the hells that it was in of the actually bad tier. I think Greedent is actually useful. Oh, not use Cinder. Yeah, I think Greedent is actually like pretty solid. I do think that the Bullet Seed build is quite good right now. I don't play Covet Belch. I just can't do it, but Bullet Seed feels really solid. So yeah, I like that Greedent is actually pretty useful now. Now we have our mid tier. Everything here is mid. Actually, no, our Shifus were not supposed to be in this tier. Our Shifus were supposed to be up here. Yeah, this is extremely disrespectful. Yeah, even looking at like my other tier list, like I have the Shifus a tier up. My bad. That is extremely disrespectful. Shifu is a very good character, so yeah, moving those guys up where they belong. But yeah, Scizor, pretty much the definition of mid. Like you'll have your games where you don't die on it if the other team has like 5 like brawlers or like just no special attack, but there's like any mage on the other team, you're just dead. Mewtwo-X, it's Mewtwo-X. It's fine, but it's just completely overshadowed by other all-arounders. Phalanx, I love Phalanx. It's one of my favorite characters to play, but objectively speaking, it is not nearly as good as a lot of other characters, so has to go in mid tier. It's a character that just like auto loses some matchups. Like if there's this, weirdly enough, if there's a Scizor on the other team, you don't really do much. If there's a Ninetales on the other team, you actively are in hell. Like there's literally nothing you can do against the Ninetales because you are literally frozen every 2 seconds, and like even like your little minions, they could also just get frozen by Ninetales passive. Like playing Phalanx in a Ninetales is truly the most miserable experience you can have in this video game. And then, you know, you add on something like Venusaur, which we'll get to later. Like, yeah, I love Phalanx, but it is just, you need like too many good things to go well in the matchup to even like consider playing this Pokemon. So yeah, they really need to like scale down the amount of like stuns and damage you take from your minions, and then that character might be able to do something. All right, anyway, Gengar. It's Gengar. You'll see a good Gengar once in a blue moon. Same thing with Zeraora. Same thing with Meowscarada. You'll see good players on these characters every now and again, but for the most part, they just kind of exist and don't do a whole lot. Then we have Goodra. Goodra is cool. Heals a lot, but it doesn't really do defender things all too good. I love Goodra, but yeah, it's just Midra. Shout out Spraggles. All right, now we get into our patch notes, and I think I'm going to go in order of the patch notes rather than what is on my screen or on my screen down here. So yeah, let's just do that because it would be much easier to explain things that way. So starting off with Serena. Previously, I had Serena in this clump of characters down here, but Serena got some massive buffs to Grassy Glide and Triple Axle. Triple Axle got some crazy buffs, but Chop Kick and Grassy Glide both got buffs, but Stomp did get nerfed. Stomp is still pretty solid overall, but of course, when we're talking about the buffs to Triple Axle, I think we need to bump Serena up to, I would say top tier. I'd say Serena is on par with something like a Zacian right now. I think Serena is nuts. You can talk me into putting it here. I think conservatively, I will put it here because it does still struggle a little bit with just like the overall amount of like damage in the game. Like it still isn't just gonna live through like, you know, Gardevoir plus Ninetales plus like, you know, other help. Like it's gonna struggle into like a lot of things. Like if you're focusing it down, it struggles against that. But in a 1v1, like Serena is almost unbeatable. So it just depends on your matchup. You could talk me into moving up the top tier if you want, but I think I'm gonna just be a little bit conservative and just leave it there. So yeah, if you want to fight me, you can fight me. Buzzwole got some changes to Smackdown and to Lunge. The Smackdown buff was really nice. I also have Buzzwole clumped in here. I think we are going to leave Buzzwole clumped in here. I don't think it quite reaches these strengths. Actually, yes, it does, because Smackdown is just really good. And I like Buzzwole more than all these characters, I think. I think Buzzwole is really good. It's also one of my best characters, so selfishly, I'm going to put it up. Inteleon got the defense buffs that other things are getting, and it got a cooldown buff to both Fell Stinger and Acrobatics. The defense buffs are nice, and the cooldown buffs are nice. I don't think it moves it out of the special. It's all about not special tier. Because like Liquidation is a fine move, but you know Glaceon does that playstyle better, so there's that. And then you have Snipe Shot, which let me know the last time you saw an Inteleon hit a Snipe Shot in your game. I'll wait. Decidueye also got basically the same buffs, just a bunch of defense buffs. Leave it where it was. Really solid, borderline OP. It's just a really good character. A-Press is real good. Every Decidueye I see is playing Razor Leaf and Leaf Storm, and I, for the life of me, will never be able to figure out why people still play this build. It's fine. Like, it is the definition of, all right, that's cool. It's like, you're gonna do damage. Like, it's totally reasonable. Like, it's a reasonable build. But Spirit Shackle is like actually unbelievably good. Like, and Leaf Storm is like, guys, if you're gonna play Race Leaf, don't play Leaf Storm. Just because you are playing not Spirit Shackle does not mean you are forced to play Leaf Storm. Leaf Storm is good like once in a blue moon. Every now and then you'll be able to catch a diver and get him off of you for like 2 seconds and press him. Like, you can kill a speedster if you hit a nice Leaf Storm. Like, dog, the move is so bad. Leaf Storm is terrible. Stop playing Leaf Storm. Still play Shadow Stick with Race Leaf if you're gonna play it. Like, for the love of God, stop playing Leaf Storm. All right, rant over. Cramorant got a small buff to the movement speed decrease duration to Surf Plus. Maybe the most inconsequential buff of all time. It stays here. I love Cramorant. It's extremely fun. One of the most fun characters in the entire game. But who cares about that buff? All right, Chandelure got the defense buffs. Stays in the same tier. Not a whole lot. You guys can tell there's not a ton in this patch. Like, there are a lot of characters that got changes, but like a lot of it is just defense buffs, which are definitely solid, but don't really move the needle on a lot of characters. So yeah. Dodrio got an agility cooldown buff. 2 seconds of that is quite nice. And then Drill Peck got buffed to just have some more damage. I had Dodrio in the mid tier just because everything in the game counters Dodrio, but this is a nice quality of life buff to it, so I'll bump it up to solid but not special. I think Dodrio is a character that if you are insane on Dodrio, you will do insane things with it, but it just really depends. Like, if you're playing against, again, a Ninetales or Pikachu, which are in like every other game it seems, you're, you know, not having a great time. So it just really depends. A lot of characters just counter you by just pressing their auto attacks and ruining your sprint gauge. Like, you just have to be really selective when you go in. You have to hope there's not a ton of CC. But if you get, like, you know, the right Dodrio game, you can pop off and drop 20 kills. Like, you can do it with any character, so with the right matchup. But I love Dodrio. It's just a lot of problems with that guy occasionally. Talonflame got a nice buff to Brave Bird Plus. I had it mid. I think a lot of speedsters are just mid. You can bump it up, and it's fine. It doesn't really. I'm not gonna split hairs over solid but not special and mid with Talonflame. It's mostly still mid, so whatever. Scyther got a dual wing beat buff, so it heals a little bit more, does a little bit more damage. I mean, it's not really needle mover. I had it here. It's a little bit better. Again, it doesn't really do a whole lot. Clefable got a buff to follow me and gravity. Clefable was already up here. We're just gonna leave it in top tier. Clefable's great. All the supports in this game are busted. It just nobody plays them. Shocker. People still not playing supports any night in 2024. Who would have thunk? Play supports, by the way. Delphox got the defense buffs, or special defense buffs, and also got a movement speed increased duration to Flame Charge Plus. So massive changes to Delphox. Delphox are really solid. I think it probably stays there. You can talk me into moving up, but these changes didn't really do much, so leave it there. Metagross got a cooldown buff to Meteor Mash. It's a cooldown buff. Cooldown buffs don't really move the needle. We'll leave it in the same tier it was in. I love it. Actually, did I have it a tier up? I would be surprised if I did. No, I had it here. I love Metagross. I think Metagross is extremely slept on, so I'm going to leave it in solid but not special, but I think Metagross is really, really good. Sylveon actually did get a special defense buff, but it also got Mystical Fire and Journey Kiss really, really nerfed. So we had Sylveon solid but not special, and I think it probably stays there. I don't think it's enough to drop it to mid. I think the character is still, like, you know, good. Still one of the tankier attackers, so I think it can stay there. Crustle. What did they do to my boy? What did they do to my boy? Crustle was finally, like, in a place where it was a totally respectable, viable defender that wasn't in any way, shape, or form broken, and they absolutely gutted this Pokemon. They nerfed Rock Tomb's cooldown. They were nerfed Stealth Rock cooldown, which cooldown doesn't really do a whole lot, but it's just like, why are we nerfing Crustle? They also did nerf Stealth Rock damage. Why? Why are you nerfing Stealth Rock damage? Were people complaining about dying to Stealth Rock? You are standing in it. Move out of it. Like, if anything, Stealth Rock needed a buff, and we nerf it, and then we nerf X's or cooldown. It's cooldown buff, so it doesn't really do a whole lot, but like, why are we nerfing cooldowns? Why are we nerfing Trestle. And then they nerfed its Unite move from 112 seconds to 134 seconds. Trestle had one of the best Unite moves in the game, dude. I had Crustle up here with Lapras because I did think Crustle was like genuinely a top 5-ish defender, but now it's borderline down here. But like looking at these changes, like it's mostly cooldown stuff, so it's like it's still a fine Pokemon, but like did it need to be nerfed? Not really. Not really. Did Slowbro get changes? Slowbro didn't get changes. So yeah, Slowbro's still up here. It's Slowbro. Yeah, that'll have to see there. I need to resize this guy for y'all. There we go. That'll do. Yep, that's fine. T-Tar, Stone Edge nerf, Stone Edge plus nerf, cooldown nerf to Dark Pulse. Yeah, pretty big damage nerf to Stone Edge. T-Tar was like, you know, already fighting mid allegations, and it stays in mid. Like, I don't know, the character's really good if you get ahead. Same story it's been with T-Tar for like 6 years. And then the funniest thing that has ever happened, they took the worst build in the game and made it even worse. They took the worst Pokemon in the game and made it even worse. Duraludon is still terrible. Hold on. In the gutter. Dude, what are they doing? Duraludon was terrible. Duraludon, like I said, was the worst Pokemon in the game, and they nerfed that shit. That is so funny. Man, it will never not make me laugh because a lot of people give me flack for saying this character is bad, for saying like, I do like 120k every single game I play Flash Cannon. Not anymore, you don't, idiot. Okay, I don't know. Like, it was never bad at doing damage, but like, no last hitting. You literally just set yourself up to die to every single all-arounder in the game. You literally just set yourself up to die to every single speedster in the game. You literally set yourself up to die to one Spirit Shackle. So like, I don't know. I've gone on a billion rants why Flash Cannon is the worst move in the game, and they nerfed it. That is hilarious. Anyway, buff Duraludon. Wigglytuff got a Sing nerf and a Double Slap nerf. So the defense reduction on Seeing got dropped 10%, and Double Slap got a half second added to its cooldown. Wigglytuff still really good, stays in top tier. The vendor support hybrid. I don't know. Also, shout out to the tier list for getting a buff. They finally recognized that Clefable and Wigglytuff are supports and changed the color of their backgrounds. So buff to the tier list. That's pretty cool. Next up we have Venusaur. Venusaur was already top tier. It stays in top tier. Got a Giga Drain buff, which is insane. Damage reduction increased from 35 to 40% on Giga Drain, and then they nerfed Solar Beam. Solar Beam's still fine, but if you know me, you know I already thought Pedal Dance Giga Drain was one of the best carry builds in the game, and they buffed it, so that's cool. All right, so Machamp's an interesting one. They initially tried to buff Machamp's Dynamic Punch Plus, but they fucked it up upon the release of the patch and was actually nerfed. So like regular Dynamic Punch was doing more damage than Dynamic Punch Plus, but then they fixed that. But they also nerfed Submission, which is absolutely hilarious. Nerfing Submission, like it's like buff. It's like nerfing Flash Cannon. Like, why are we nerfing one of the worst builds in the game? I don't know. You do you. But I had Machamp in really solid / borderline OP. I think we dunk it down to solid but not special. Got a little bit of nerf. I don't know. Machamp is fine. It just gets clumped in with the rest of the all-arounders. Doesn't really do much, but isn't bad at all. Absol got a slight cooldown nerf to Pursuit. Doesn't really do anything. Stays in solid but not special. It's a good speedster, but nothing crazy. Mr. Mime got a half second added to Psychic's cooldown, so yay. Stays in solid but not special. Good character, but look where all the other supports are. It's just outshined. I love Mr. Mime, but it is just outshined. Garchomp. Garchomp's a really, really weird one because Garchomp got a lot of nerfs to its attack speed. It also got nerfed to Earthquake, and it got a cooldown nerf to Dragon Rush. But as a Garchomp, technically main, it's my most games played, but I don't have a main. I have 14,000 games played, and I only have 500 games played on Garchomp, my most played character, which is why I don't have a good win rate, by the way. If I one-trick the character, I could have a 55% win rate like everyone else, but let's relax. So Garchomp is weird because it was like shining and in top tier, especially competitively. Like, Garchomp is going crazy in competitive Unite. And these nerfs, well, significant to the attack speed don't really affect it too much. Guard Chop is still really good. So if anything, like the nerfs didn't really hurt it, and it was already great. I believe I actually had it a tier down. I did have it a tier down. I had it in solid but not special. I think even after getting nerfed, solid but not special was too low on Guard Chop in the previous patch. I'm always too low on Guard Chop because it is like, I feel like I'm biased with the character, but it's still getting a ton of play in Unite or in like tournaments even after the nerf. So like it probably belonged in top tier before. I think it stays in top tier even after the nerfs. So I was too low on it. So I'm retroactively moving it up, and the nerfs I don't think did enough to like move it down. So yeah, you can probably like, it's probably more in line with really solid. It's probably more in line with that, but you know, like just looking at it, it does make more sense to put it down there. But yeah, Guard Chop is great, man. Guard Chop is really, really good. Even after getting it, Leafeon got a cooldown nerf to aerial ace, which is actually a little bit significant because you don't like literally have your double dashes up all the time, but like they didn't nerf fucking Razor Leaf, so yeah, the character's still broken. Oh guys, don't you worry though, they gutted Umbreon. Yeah, they cut like the movement speed for foul play in half. The character's still broken. Why are we, you know, barely touching Umbreon but gutting Crustle? Like, what are we doing? Insane decision. Blaziken got a damage nerf to overheat and overheat plus. Character's still insanely good. Stays in top tier. Blaziken is amazing. I have a video coming up probably tomorrow where I drop 158k against a UCS player on Blaziken. So that video will be out tomorrow. People aren't gonna like that one, but I mean you'll like it, but there's damage farming, but there's damage farming in every game that gets that high damage. But yeah, we're gonna have that out. Blaziken's awesome though. Blaziken is extremely slept on. Not enough people play this character. It is so good. Then we have Psyduck, which, man, Psyduck is so weird. Psyduck is so weird. The character is like inherently decent, but I still like, the only time I'm ever worried about a Psyduck is if its passive is up. Like every time its passive gets popped, which its passive is up like literally all the time. Like that is the only time I'm really super annoyed by Psyduck. Every now and then I'll get disable and be annoyed, but like it takes like Psyduck being useful in a team fight, like getting a disable off like, on like an entire team, or getting its passive off on you like a specific like as it's getting dove. Like no man, Psyduck is so weird. This is like objectively a good Pokemon, but like I'm lower on it than the consensus. I'm gonna put it there. If you think that's too low, then you know we can talk about it, but I don't know. I don't think it's as good as it gets like credit for it. It's fine. It's fine. I missed the Sableye change in here somewhere, but did I really? It's Sableye. It's still terrible. Got a slight buff to Shadow Sneak's cooldown. Who cares? And then we have Darkrai, which got some decent nerfs to the range of its boosted attack, but it's still insane. And then Nasty Ball actually got like a buff bug fix, and then its Unite move got a weird bug fix. It's still Darkrai. You can talk me into it being broken, but I don't know. We'll just leave it there. It doesn't matter. Darkrai's still gonna get banned in pretty much every game, and it should probably still get banned in pretty much every game. Darkrai's insane. So yeah. And then we move to Tinkaton. So Tinkaton got the emergency buffs. I thought the character was like borderline, like really bad on release, and then it got some nice buffs. I haven't still like had even a good game on SmackDown. I do really like the Ice Hammer buffs. I think the Ice Hammer buffs make it very playable. The Unite move being up all the time is cool, but the Unite move is bad. Gigaton Hammer is awesome, but it feels like you need your passive stacks for it to be really good. Once you get the 60 passive stacks, like this character is actually nuts, but it takes a lot to get there. So yeah, it's a character that really has to play around its passive a lot. Overall, I don't think I could justify putting Tinkaton in mid, because I do think it is like better than these characters in terms of like raw damage and potential. And so I think I just fall in line with it just getting clumped in with the rest of these just kind of their characters. Like I don't think it's touching any of the characters here. I think all these characters are significantly better than Tinkaton. Obviously it's going nowhere near up here. Doesn't touch this thing at all. But like it's totally reasonable to pick Tinkaton. Gigaton Hammer, good secure, good damage, but I don't know, man. If I think I might be a little bit low on this Pokemon, but a lot of the Tinkatons I see are still dropping like 40k damage and like struggling to get their stacks or their passives like too high. I see a ton of people dropping huge damage numbers on it, but like I don't see that in my games personally. I think it's a good Pokemon. Thief is great. I didn't talk about Thief, but I don't know, it's a character that if you get going early, you're probably going to do well on, but if you're even a little bit behind, it has a really bad early game, like one of the worst early games in the entire game. And the reward of that, like, is usually something like a Gyarados. Like, once you evolve into Gyarados, you have one of the worst games, obviously, early games on Magikarp. Like, Sorrel has a really bad early game. And, like, once you evolve, you become really, really, really good. But once you evolve on Tinkaton, you just kind of still are, you know, nothing special. So I think that is where we're going to leave Tinkaton. If you agree or disagree with any of my rankings, let me know in the comments down below. But here is a quick look at the tier list. We have these guys in the gutter. Here's our mids. Solid but not specials, like most of the roster, and then the rest of the class is up here hanging out. So yeah, if you agree or disagree, have some discussion down below, and I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy.